Hi, and welcome to the Interesting Fact Show. I bet you didn't know the extent of cruelty in history. History whispers of darker times. Times when cruelty wasn't just commonplace, but a tool. Torture, sadly, holds a prominent place in our collective memory. From ancient civilizations to the medieval period, torture served a multitude of purposes. Often it was used to extract confessions from accused criminals or heretics. Regardless of the reasoning, the methods employed were often brutal and inhumane. These methods were calculated instruments designed to inflict the maximum amount of pain and suffering. They were intended to break the body and spirit, leaving victims permanently scarred and societies living in a constant state of fear. This exploration delves into some of history's most gruesome torture methods. It's not for the faint of heart. By understanding our past, even its darkest corners, we can strive for a better future. If you found this intriguing, please like and subscribe for more fascinating insights. Section 2. The Iron Maiden, a chamber of despair. Few torture devices are as iconic or as shrouded in morbid curiosity as the Iron Maiden. This hollow, human-shaped cabinet, often adorned with a menacing visage, has haunted imaginations for centuries. The Iron Maiden's power lay not only in its physical form, but also in the psychological terror it inflicted. The victim, sealed inside the cramped, dark chamber, would be confronted with their impending doom. The strategically placed spikes would pierce the flesh, causing excruciating pain and significant blood loss. The psychological impact of the Iron Maiden was profound. The darkness, the feeling of their own blood slowly draining away, and the knowledge that death was inevitable, all combined to create a truly horrifying experience. The Iron Maiden serves as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which humans will go to exert power over others. Section 3. The Pear of Anguish, small but mighty. Don't let its deceptively simple appearance fool you. The Pear of Anguish, also known as the choke pear, was a brutal instrument of torture. This pear-shaped device, typically made of metal, belied its true purpose with its seemingly innocuous design. The Pear of Anguish was inserted into the victim's orifice, the mouth, rectum, or vagina, and then slowly expanded using a screw mechanism. The expanding segments would contort and tear at the victim's insides, causing excruciating pain and severe internal damage. The use of the Pear of Anguish was often associated with punishing perceived sexual deviancy or blasphemy. It was a tool used to shame and humiliate, leaving victims with lifelong physical and psychological scars. The Pear of Anguish serves as a chilling reminder of the cruelty and depravity that humans are capable of inflicting upon one another. The rat torture stands out as a particularly gruesome method that exploits a primal fear, being eaten alive. This method, favored for its simplicity and effectiveness in breaking the human will, relied on the natural instincts of rats and the unbearable terror they could inflict. A container filled with hungry rats would be placed open side down on the victim's bare stomach or chest. The torturers would then heat the container, driving the desperate rats to seek an escape route through the victim's flesh. The psychological torment began long before the rats even touched the victim's skin. The feeling of the rats gnawing their way into their flesh, the unbearable pain, and the sheer helplessness of the situation created a potent cocktail of terror. The rat torture represents the darkest aspects of human cruelty, preying on our primal fears and exploiting the natural world for sinister purposes. The breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel, was not just a method of torture, but a public spectacle designed to instill fear and obedience in the population. This brutal method, often carried out in town squares or other public spaces, served as a gruesome deterrent against dissent or criminal behavior. The victim would be bound to a large wooden wheel, their limbs splayed out and secured. The executioner would then systematically break the victim's bones with a heavy iron hammer or club, starting with the limbs and working their way inwards. The process was slow and agonizing, the victim's screams echoing throughout the square. The sight of the broken, contorted body served as a stark reminder of the consequences of transgression. instilling fear and obedience within the populace. More than just a method of torture, the breaking wheel represents the intersection of cruelty and societal control. While physical torture leaves visible scars, psychological torture targets the mind, leaving invisible wounds that can last a lifetime. Methods of psychological torture varied widely, from prolonged solitary confinement and sleep deprivation to mock executions and the threat of harm to loved ones. The goal was to induce a state of fear, anxiety, and helplessness, stripping the victim of their sense of self and their ability to resist. The effects of psychological torture, while less visible than those of physical torture, can be just as devastating. Psychological torture highlights the insidious nature of cruelty, demonstrating that true torment goes beyond the infliction of physical pain. Looking back at the cruel torture methods employed throughout history can be an unsettling experience. These brutal practices, remnants of a darker past, offer a glimpse into the depths of human cruelty and the lengths to which we will go to exert power and control over others. While we may be tempted to distance ourselves from these barbaric practices, it's crucial to remember that they are part of our collective history. By studying these methods, we gain a deeper understanding of the human capacity for both good and evil. By learning from our history, acknowledging the dangers of unchecked power and intolerance, we can strive to create a future where torture exists only in history books.